Welcome to Strongman Nutrition 101. In this series, we're going to cover how to eat to be your best self, both in the world of strength, performance, and also just day-to-day functionality, feeling good, being able to think clear, and just being happy and healthy. You can do this through your nutrition. It is a foundational element to your overall quality of life. The way the world is today, there's a lot of confusion about what's really good, what's optimal, what's best, and what approaches you should take to nutrition. I mean, we've all heard of things like carnivore diet, paleo, there's vegan, vegetarianism, pescatarian. We know about the vertical diet. There's a lot of recommendations out there from nutritionists who truly advise people to eat a box of Krispy Kreme donuts every day during their event training days. Now, here's the thing you need to know. That's probably 8 different types of diets that I listed out. There are foundational principles to all of these things that will make it successful. Okay, so there's not necessarily one route that you need to really get into and live hardcore. A lot of people get their identity tied up to being in one of these things. And typically that leads to the extremes where somebody is carnivore and they only eat meat, or sometimes where somebody is vegan and they have no meat whatsoever. Now, sometimes there might be benefit to do one or the other. And learning about you and your body and what you need to thrive through trial and error is important to figure out. So before we kind of, dive into, more details about this, let's just start today talking about calories. Whatever principle you're following, your weight and your body composition is going to be ruled by calories. Those are the units of energy that go into every bit of food, okay? Now, if you want to gain weight, you need to be in a caloric surplus. That means that you need to be eating more calories, you need to be taking in more energy than you are putting out, okay? Conversely, if you want to lose weight, you need to be consuming less energy than you are putting out. If you just want to stay at the same weight that you are, you need to be figuring out what your caloric expenditure is, how much energy you're putting out, and eat at that level. So that rules everything that we're doing. CICO, calories in, calories out. Again, calories are a unit of energy, but not all calories are created equal, right? There are big differences in the types of calories, whether that's the macronutrients themselves, protein, carbs, fat, but even inside of those, proteins are different types of proteins, different types of carbs, and different types of fats, okay? Now, you need to know that these always should be in some balance. To put it real simply, carbohydrates are just like gas for your car, okay? They're a unit of energy to help you do things, okay? Protein is actually not a source of energy or gas in the same way. It is a source of energy, but not in that fuel type of way. You should look at that similar to like a building block, right? So protein gives you the blocks to recover and repair your body from the demands of training and just day-to-day life, but they cannot be delivered to the right places like your muscles unless you have those like carb sources that are shuttling them to the right places. So you really can't have one without the other. Now, just a quick explanation of things like the keto diet. What happens in something like the keto diet, which can be beneficial in some ways, your body goes into a form called ketosis where you produce ketones, which can give your body some of that energy and like gas, as we called it, like carbohydrates would. Now, if you are doing strength training, carbs are your optimal source of fuel. Okay, we'll kind of break into that why on the unit in carbohydrates, but just know you should be having some sort of balance between all these macronutrients. Again, we'll kind of cover like what that means, how much you should have a little later. So calories, all work your energy systems. Depending on what you're using, the way you're living and the way you're working out, you are running different energy systems at all times. So for example, your high end, like very high intensity type workouts and exercises, those run on a completely different energy system than longer endurance based type efforts, okay? Again, we'll break this down in further detail, just giving you a general understanding right now. So things are not always just operating on one pure energy system. It's actually very rare that you're only using one pathway. That's again why we need to think about the appropriate levels of protein, carbs, and fats for your performance. Now, this is all based around calories in, calories out. We start with your basal metabolic rate to kind of figure out how much you're gonna need. So BMR here, that is the amount of calories that you are burning completely at rest. So if you were gonna stay awake and seated on the couch all day long, your BMR is how many calories you are burning in a day just to kind of keep you alive, keep your vital organs healthy, and live, right? So when we're figuring out like, okay, so how much do I need? We start with your BMR and then we consider factors like your activity level, how hard are you training, how active are you throughout the day to work in and find that number that we need for either gaining weight, losing weight, or just staying at the same weight, right? Now I keep saying weight. What's important to know is that, again, with the balance of these things, you can be in a caloric deficit, but losing weight could mean losing muscle mass and losing, vital, important parts of even things like your organs. So again, that's why it's important to have a balance of your macronutrients. Same with being in a surplus. Your weight could be increasing, but if you do it incorrectly, then you could be gaining only fat, right? Which nobody wants, I assume. Let's just talk for strongmen here. That should not be something that you desire. It doesn't make any sense. So again, with these macros, there are different levels or different amounts of calories in each individual gram of a macronutrient. So protein has 4 calories per gram. Carbs have 4 calories per gram, and fats have 9 calories per gram. So again, we got to think about when we're thinking about the total amount of energy that we're putting in, that we're getting the right amounts from these in the right balance in order to reach our goals, okay? Now, one thing you want to remember is alcohol does have calories in it, and it's pretty much an empty calorie. There's not utility in there whatsoever for your strength gains, all right? So just did want to mention that. It's important, and a lot of people, when they go out, have alcoholic drinks with a lot of sugars that can be pretty high in calories. It's not that you can't enjoy these things responsibly, but just think about, what the damage is here combined with the damage here, and then you end up getting hungry, getting the munchies, and gets that greasy food full of fats, and you can real quickly get into a very high calorie level that's going to just keep you gaining weight and keep you away from being your best strongman and athletic self. So we'll break down exactly the balance and like what all of these means later on in the course. But back to what we were talking about with weight. You can be in a surplus or a deficit. Surplus is just having more energy, more calories coming in than you burn. A deficit is having less calories coming in than you burn throughout the day. Now, to really figure out some of these numbers, you can do some advanced tests, but to really sharpen these things in, you just need to track your calorie input to the truest degree. You need to count every single thing that you're putting in, including a concept I've heard about called LBTs, licks, bites, and tastes. So even if you're somebody who's like cooking or having like a piece of like a free sample here and there, every calorie counts. So you need to be true and honest about what you're putting in. And then when you keep tracking over time, you're going to be able to center in on exactly how many calories you are burning each day. And then you'll know exactly how many calories you need in order to add muscle and or burn fat. Okay. You need to be taking a slow, steady, and sustainable approach when you track at all times, whether you're in surplus, deficit, or like the maintenance level, where we're at that same level of calories. The best way to do this for long-term successful gains that will stay with you is slow, steady, and sustainable. We don't want to do crash diets, and here's why. You can lose weight in that extreme caloric surplus, but what ends up happening is that your metabolism will slow way down to get in a like new level of homeostasis. You're going to be in a new normal. So if you're somebody who burns 2,000 calories a day on average and you go to a crash diet of 1,200 calories, your body is going to do everything it can to preserve itself at that level. So you're going to be stuck at that level, and then it's only going to be of harm to you to try and eat less and eat less and eat less and eat less after that. So when we're doing very small changes, like over time, where we steadily drop our calories with the goal to burn fat, like then we can get leaner, we can burn weight in the areas that we desire, and we can still be healthy and have all of our normal vital organs and processes work really well. A lot of people that go into deep cuts end up having like things like brain fog and just lethargy, just feeling lazy all day long because of this reason, right? Like your body is just not able to get the energy and the fuel that it needs to properly live and exist in a good state of energy, okay? Now, when we're talking about all of these things, remember the principle of practical versus optimal. So you'll hear all of these things all the time about like, this is the optimal way to eat, or these are the optimal foods, but practical needs to come first. Now, in a perfect world, it would be better to get like organic, grass-fed, natural foods, things that you're making at home all the time. But if that's not practical for you, if that's not practical for you, you need to use what is. So if you need to supplement with shakes, powders, and occasional, processed foods, try to have as little as you can. But if that's what's going to get you to your right calorie amount and your right macronutrient amount, that is going to put you in the direction that you want to go with your weight and your body composition. So you can start here with the practical, again, lock those habits in, and then slowly, bit by bit, shift into optimal, where you can, start having higher quality meat here, or start having, rice instead of bread. You can make those changes once you lay down the practical habits that are putting you in the right direction. So don't just get caught up in like, this is the best source for this. What matters is you kind of start by figuring out how to hit your calories that you need regularly with the right macronutrients. And that really only comes through steady, sustainable tracking, okay? Now, it really is not as simple as, just the baseline of like, oh, you're gonna burn or, consume this many calories a day. There's a lot of factors that affect just how much you're burning, okay? Things like sleep. If you have a pretty low, poor quality of sleep, that influences your hormones to a pretty high degree, where you're going to be hungrier throughout the day and you might end up overeating, but it also is actually slowing your metabolism down. Same with stress. Stress is a biological thing, that tells your body from years and years of biology and development of the human body that we need to preserve as much as we can, because this relates to when our ancestors years and years and years ago were in periods of like fasting or winter where the access to food was very low. So when you have that natural stress response, it just tells your body to hold on to what you're putting into it. You're going to be burning less and then adding more to your body. So it's very easy to not only gain weight, but retain weight in that stressful state. So it's very important to try and mitigate stress as well as possible. Now, these things also add into your gut health. A lot of people, because of just like the poor food source supply today, have pretty poor gut health. So, you can kind of rate that by, how good, high quality are your bowel movements? Do you have bowel movements regularly? Okay. Like these are things you got to check out. And like I said earlier, some things like the carnivore diet for a brief period of time can be used to clean and regulate your gut. It can help flush things out, and then you can add things bit by bit back in to figure out what your body responds to, and then build your habits from there. Okay, so hormones, these things all lead into hormonal problems. So sleep, stress, gut health, food allergies, and then also things like how much sunlight do you get? There's a lot of different lifestyle factors that could affect whether you're male or female, like how much testosterone and estrogen you're producing. Testosterone is a molecule and a hormone that's going to help you build muscle and burn fat. So if you've got incredibly low testosterone levels from any of these or other lifestyle factors, you're going at an uphill battle, and you need to make sure that you've got those foundational lifestyle principles to allow you to use these principles successfully to get the body that you're looking for, okay? Now, with activity level and workouts, this is just pretty simple. You know, are you working out 4 to 5 times a week? Naturally, you're gonna be burning more calories than somebody who works out 1 time a week. Same with somebody who's like a manual laborer. They're on their feet and working with their hands all day. They're burning a lot of calories. So some of those people might be burning up to 4,000, 5,000 calories a day because they're go, 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 go. And that's just the way it is. You still are gonna work with the principles of calories in, calories out. You can figure that out by tracking sustainably, steadily, and slowly, and then getting the right ideas with like, okay, well, I need to eat this much, then I can eat that. Practically, even if I'm working on my feet all day, then like maybe I have to have some very high calorie shakes in order to achieve that. So a little more advanced too is different types of workouts. Like we said, use different energy systems. So endurance runners do need a little bit more fats. High intensity training and strength training require more carbs, but we'll get into that a little later further in the course. So think about all these things. These principles are going to apply in any type of diet that you're following. Calories in, calories out rule your weight and your body composition, but not all calories are equal here, not just the macros, but the micros and quality that you're getting. And then all of these outside factors could really greatly manipulate your body's effective ability to gain or lose weight. So this is just kind of a general overview of calories. Coming up in the next couple of lessons, we'll cover the macros more in depth, like protein, carbs, fats, the different types. We'll also cover the micronutrients, like all the little vitamins and minerals that you need to get and why it's important to actually get those in, right? So that's one of the things that we were talking about with the different diet types is going to an extreme here or there. Some of those work for some people because of calories in, calories out and general high quality nutrition, but they're not the best because they leave out a lot of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So the last thing that I want to say too is always try to do things that are good for your gut, okay? If we're gonna be taking in foods, we want to have a very regular system that includes your eating and your bowel movements that just allow you to process the foods properly so you have good gut health, and that sends everything that you're eating in the places that it needs to go. So all that being said, one final time, start with what's practical, track your calories and macronutrients to figure out the exact amount that you need, and then stay tuned for more in-depth information on how to exactly implement your macros, what micronutrients to eat, how to eat around your workouts and competition performances, and more.